Alright guys, it is that time of the week and we are ready to dive back into some championship score predictions. Some big games coming up this weekend. As always, I want to get your take on them in the comments down below. Plenty of moving parts going around in the championship right now. If you didn't see yesterday's video, make sure to go ahead and check it out. Gave my verdict on the departures of Michael Duff and Tony Mowbray. How will those departures affect the results going into this weekend? We'll have to wait and see. 300 likes on today's video would be massively appreciated. And if you're not already, make sure to go ahead and give a follow over on TikTok. But without any further ado, let's jump into this one. Starting out on Friday, we've got Coventry going up against Birmingham. I think that most people will slightly be favouring Coventry in this fixture, looking at the form book, recent results and the momentum around both sides right now. I think there are more favouring factors in Coventry's way. Yes, they did lose last time out, but against a very good Ipswich side, and it looked as if Coventry improved as that game went along. And even looking at the recent history between these two sides, it has been Coventry who have more or less had the edge in this fixture. In fact, Birmingham's last league victory against Coventry came all the way back in 2011. For Birmingham, it's just one win in 8 for Wayne Rooney, and even that victory came against bottom of the table Sheffield Wednesday. Last time out for Blues wasn't a great performance, goalless against Rotherham, and I think I'm edging Coventry for all 3 points in this game. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 1-0 Cov, which would continue Birmingham's slip down the table. Next then we go to Ewood Park for Blackburn up against Leeds. Now, it would be typical of the championship for Blackburn to come off the back of a loss against bottom of the table Sheffield Wednesday and return with a massive performance against Leeds and somehow get past them, and that could happen. I am expecting quite an open game of football here. Blackburn tend to create quite a few chances per game. Sammy Smodic's in fine form at the moment, and I'd certainly be backing him to get another goal in this game, but on the flip side, they do tend to concede quite a few chances, and up against a forward line that can be as prolific as that Leeds front line can be, I'd expect quite a few goals for the away side in this game. In fact, so far this season, only Rotherham and Norwich have conceded more shots on target than that Blackburn side has. That's got to be something that Leeds are looking to take advantage. And don't get me wrong, there have been occasions this season where Leeds have had an off day in front of goal. Their last away performance, for example, that 1-1 draw against Rotherham, but they responded in style with back-to-back wins at home. I've got a feeling that Leeds will get the job done on the road here. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 3-1 Leeds, maybe with a Sammy Smodic's goal in there for Blackburn. Next up then we go to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland against West Brom, and I've got to be honest, I'm not really sure where to go with this prediction. After Sunderland dismissed Tony Mowbray, not sure what side we're going to see turning up for the Black Cats over the weekend. Now, as of recording, Sunderland are yet to appoint anyone as their next boss. That may have happened by the weekend, and on the back of that could get a new managerial bounce, but how long the new manager, if they even appoint one before the West Brom game, will have to work with the players. I'm not so sure. They are going up against the West Brom side who have caught my attention recently. They lost late on against Leicester last time out, but even in the games that the Baggies have been losing recently, they've all been very tight, and I think they've given a good account of themselves. And in usual circumstances, I think I probably would be backing a West Brom win here, but with Mowbray no longer in the picture, I know that Sunderland have only won 2 of their last 9, but maybe there's just going to be a bit of a switch of the momentum in this game. The atmosphere will be very interesting to see how that goes down. Score prediction for me, do you know what? I'm going to go for a draw in this game. I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1 between these two. Just a few unpredictable narratives with Sunderland right now that are hard to call. After that, we're heading over to Wales for Cardiff up against Millwall, and this is an interesting matchup. Cardiff have had an ever so slight tail off recently, just 1 win from their last 5 matches. In those 5 matches, they've actually failed to score in 3 of those games, but they've got back-to-back home games coming up now against Millwall, and then after that against Birmingham, and I do think those are 2 matches where Cardiff can look to take advantage. I think that with Millwall under Joe Edwards so far, it's very much been a work in progress where we've seen some really good elements from them and also some pretty bad ones on top of that as well. So which Millwall side will turn up for this game, it's hard to predict right now because they are very much working on the go to try and figure out how Edwards is going to get the best out of these players, how they're continuing to adapt midway through a season. They definitely look like they're a bit more capable of opening teams up right now, but in that have left themselves quite vulnerable at the back at times as well. And I think that if Cardiff are aware enough perhaps to expose some of those vulnerabilities that Millwall have shown recently. I think I'm slightly edging towards a home win in this game. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 1-0 Cardiff and back them to bounce back in this one. Next up then we go to Huddersfield up against Bristol City, and like Millwall, Bristol City are very much a work in progress under Manning right now, and this is the sort of game up against Darren Moore's Huddersfield side where I do expect Bristol City to be dominating the ball. Huddersfield have actually had a good run of results recently, but in doing that, it's not been the prettiest of football, but I think that Moore has the objective where survival at all costs, and they have been getting some good results recently. And the good news for Huddersfield, while QPR are continuing to breathe down their necks and the upturn in form that they've had recently, suddenly there are a lot more teams that are in this relegation scramble because they've tailed off. The likes of Stoke, Millwall, Swansea, because they've had so many inconsistent results recently, are all around Huddersfield and within touching distance right now. As a score prediction for this game, Huddersfield seem to be getting over the line with some results. They were pretty unlucky not to get all 3 points against Swansea, again where they didn't have that much of the ball. Wouldn't be surprised if they managed to grind this game out either, but I think I'm going to back Bristol City for a point maybe. Going to go for a 1-1er in there between those two. After that we head to the King Powerful Leicester up against Plymouth, and what a result it was for the Foxes last time out. Late winner from Harry Winks, looked like absolute limbs in the away end, and I think they'll be going into this game against Plymouth full of confidence on the back of coming through what did look like a really tough game against West Brom, a baggy side that were in really good form going into that game, and a few doubts have started to creep in recently about Leicester because they've not been as convincing over their past few performances. But I think a lot of people will be back in Enzo Maresca's side for all 3 points in this one. For Plymouth, it was a massive second half performance last time out to get all 3 points against Stoke City, a result which really has left a bit of breathing space between themselves and the relegation zone. 6 points now that currently stands at. The only thing that's sort of holding Plymouth back from going to that next level up the championship really has been their away form, because at home they've been absolutely excellent. Still one of 3 championship clubs yet to win an away match this season, and I'm not sure I can see that changing in this game. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-0 Leicester. After that we head to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Ipswich, and I am expecting a good game of football here. Middlesbrough involved in an absolute thriller last time against Leeds United, and I'm expecting plenty of goals against a free-flowing Ipswich side. Once again, some great football on show from Ipswich over the weekend. Still been watching that Burns goal on repeat over and over again. The build-up play and then the finish at the end of it was absolutely exquisite. Now, Ipswich have been a little bit more susceptible to dropping points away from home, and for Middlesbrough, it's a big week of football that they've got on the horizon, with games against Ipswich and then in midweek going straight into a game against Hull, two fellow promotion chasers, you could call them right now. Now, Borough, despite losing that game over the weekend against Leeds, are still in a really good position to capitalise on the teams above them, because the vast majority of playoff chasers over the weekend ended up losing. They're in 12th right now, but they're only 3 points off the top 6, and while I'm not sure I can see them winning this game, wouldn't be surprised if they do get a point from it. I'm going to go for an entertaining 2-2 draw between these two. Next up we then go to Norwich up against Preston, two managers who have been under serious scrutiny going up against each other here in David Wagner going up against Ryan Lowe. Now, from Preston's perspective, I'm really not sure where we go from that performance over the weekend against QPR. For me, one of, if not the worst showings from Preston so far this season. Certainly in terms of a creative aspect, we created absolutely nothing in that game. But this creates an interesting challenge for Preston, because we are going up against a Norwich side that has been very susceptible to conceding chances so far this season. They've got the second worst defensive record in the league. They've only kept 1 clean sheet in their last 10 matches. But despite all of that, I'm not confident Preston are going to score in this game, because we've been so blunt in the attacking third for the past month or so. To go on top of that as well, Preston's defensive record has been absolutely shambolic recently, and for all of Norwich's flaws throughout this season, you can consistently back upon them to score a goal or two, and I think they will in this game with how lackadaisical we've been in defence recently. To be fair, I do think that Ryan Lowe is one of those managers that when the pressure really starts to heat up on him, as I do think it has been over these past few weeks, he always seems to have that ability to pull a result out of the bag from nowhere, in a similar fashion that Wagner's probably done for Norwich recently. With all that being said, I'm not massively confident going into this game, and I hope I'm proven wrong, but I'm going to go 2-0 Norwich, and that would see them leapfrogging us in the table as well. QPR against Hull is the next matchup, and this is an interesting game at this point of the season. Had this game happened a few weeks ago, I think the vast majority of us would have had this one down as a Hull banker. Now that's no longer really the case, obviously. Hull did lose over the weekend, the game which could have tipped in their favour had Philogene bagged the penalty, and I think they will be up for this game against QPR. With that being said, I have to tip my hat to Marty Cifuentes recently for the tune that he's got out of this QPR squad, how quickly he's been able to change around their fortunes. The patterns of play we're suddenly seeing from QPR, which were just non-existent at times under Gareth Ainsworth. It was their first home win of the season when they beat Stoke the other week. They then followed it up with a really good away performance at Preston, and seems like the likes of Chair and Willock especially will thrive in this new system. And I think when you do play to the strengths of your best players, you're obviously going to get a lot more joy. This one I really could see going either way. Hull on their day I really do rate as a top championship outfit, but QPR seem to be riding the crest of a wave right now. With that being said, why not? I'll go for a QPR win. 2-1 QPR, I'm saying, in this game. Next then to Rotherham up against Swansea. An interesting time to be playing Swansea right now, having just parted company with Michael Duff. As of recording, they've not yet hired a new manager. We'll have to wait and see whether or not they'll have a new man in post come Saturday when this game against Rotherham does roll around. Now, the form book hasn't looked great for either side recently. Rotherham without a win in their last 7 championship matches. Even in that same time span, Swansea haven't picked up many more points than the Millers have. Without fully knowing the ins and outs of who's going to be in charge at Swansea over the weekend, it's tough to make a definitive call on this one right now. Just got a gut feeling that Rotherham could potentially take advantage of the chaos at Swansea right now. Score prediction in this game, I'm not back to Rotherham winning the well. Why not? I'll go 2-1 Rotherham, but that one really could go either way. Next, then we go to Stoke up against Sheffield Wednesday. Alex Neil in desperate need of a result here. If Sheffield Wednesday get the better of them, that really could leave Stoke in an awkward position in the league table. Alex Neil does seem to have this knack where the pressure really ramps up on him and he pulls a win out of nowhere. And this maybe could be the stars lining up for him. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, I think we've seen a big improvement from them in recent weeks. Some really good home performances of late. The next stage of where Danny Roll's going to have to improve this Wednesday outfit is their away form. They've picked up fewer points on the road than any other championship side this season. Even Rotherham have taken more points from away matches than Wednesday have. It's 9 games on the road, 8 defeats and just 1 draw. Stoke haven't been great value for money themselves recently, but I have a feeling they may scrape an ugly 1-0 win in this game. And then finishing things off with Watford up against Southampton, and I have to admit I've been pleasantly surprised by this run of results from Watford recently. A brilliant result for them over the weekend, starting to put their away form really into practice with a 2-1 triumph over Hull, albeit it did take an absolute worldie for them to win that match, and maybe a fortunate penalty miss from Hull as well. This one will be a real test of character against the Southampton side, who I have been very impressed with recently. They're dictating the tempo of a lot of the matches that they have been involved in, and haven't been as reliant over the past couple of weeks on late goals being scored to, you know, get those results over the line. They've been a little bit more convincing than that recently. Watford, I expect to put up a good fight, but they're going up against the Saints side, who are currently on the longest unbeaten run in the championship, and I think they extend that by another week in this one. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-1 Southampton, but expecting a good game. Well guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, do get your score predictions in the comments down below. How do you see all of these matches unfolding? But apart from that guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.